Hello everyone, it's Laura here and we're going to jump into another Take Charge Thursday, which is all about getting into your stash and taking charge of your products. So what I'm going to do is teach you how to create these beautiful borders that have got like a really lovely sepia tone to them that can be added to any beautiful paper that you've got in your stash. So let's get started straight away. I will show you exactly how to create this particular design card, but of course what we're learning is this sepia tone borders, and then you can use it on anything else. So to start with, I've got a card base and I've stuck to a really pretty paper. I think it's from Backyard Bliss, and I've cut it at 5 1/4 by 4 inches, stuck it on and given it a journal border. Then I've cut myself 3 pieces of white daisy, and these are 1 inch wide, and I've got one at 5 1/4, and then I've got 2 here cut at 5. So that's the 3 borders that I'll use to create this. So basically what I've done is gone into my stash and found a stamp set that's got lots of small icons on it. So it's about pulling out these stamp sets with the little icons and getting great use out of it. And this particular one's called Details I Love. So it's actually really one that's pretty much designed for scrapbooking, but I'm going to use it on this card. So let's just start with a butterfly, and I'll load that onto my block. And so what I'm using is a brown and a black ink, and I've gone with toffee, but any brown will work. I would recommend that you go with a lighter color though, and then a black. And then I've got my all-purpose mat underneath here because I'm going to be randomly stamping off the edges of the card, so all my mess can go on to the mat. Okay, so what I'm basically doing is rocking and rolling. So I'm inking up in toffee and just gently rocking into the black, and then inking it up so it's got those 2 colors. So this is all I'm going to do, and I will random stamp down this whole piece of cardstock, and sometimes I won't even roll in the black so that I get all different color combinations, so it's not the same. Oops. Quite random. Okay, so that's what we need to do on our borders. I'll do it as fast as possible. Of course you could do it on any cardstock size. It doesn't have to be tiny like this, but when I'm random stamping, I don't really want to make it obviously too big if I'm using tiny stamps. Okay, so let me just fill in that little tiny gap there. Okay, so there we go, and then I'm just going to grab my paper towel and just wipe off my excess ink there. Okay, so there is my first border. Let's take that butterfly and pop it back onto the carrier sheet, and then I'm going to grab this flower and do my second border. Same thing, sticking to the same technique of the brown and then a little tiny bit of black, and just filling it in with my flowers. This one here, can't really rotate it around too much. It's very much just fit some flowers onto that border. Alright, so nice and quick process. It doesn't really take too long. And there we go. So that's border number 2. And again, just going to get rid of the excess ink, and we'll do number 3. And I'm just going to choose, I think I might choose these little viney leaves for my third one. So the rock and roll technique is a brilliant opportunity to get those 2 colors together on the one stamp. And I'm not pressing down hard on that black. I'm just literally just really lightly just touching that black ink pad. I'm not giving it any pressure at all, just to pick up that little bit of black. Oops, I just did that in fully black. We don't want a fully black vine. And I'll just pop a couple of little leaves in these gaps. Okay, so border number 3 done. Right, now I'm going to pop my black away, and I'm going to grab a blending brush, and you could use a blending brush or you can use a sponge, but I definitely find the blending brush is the easier option. And I've discovered, which has been fabulous, that this blending brush has been used for many colors. So what I do is I use it on the color, and then I actually wipe the excess color off right at the end of the project, and then I can go into a new color. So right, so I'm picking up some of the toffee ink, and then I'm actually starting to blend it off of the edge so it's not completely dark, and just giving it a really light amount of color around the edge just to bring in that sepia tone to my border. So you can see it really comes to life as I blend in that little bit of toffee onto the border there, like so. So I'm just going to repeat that process on all 3 of these borders, and it really does take away that starkness of the white, and it feels very vintagey and, you know, like you found an old newspaper article. That's how it makes me feel anyway. I like that craft can give us feelings. Right, border 2, and then border number 3, and you can see it's really pretty. Of course, you could take this technique that I'm sharing with you today and do it with any color, to be honest. It could be any 2 colors. You just need a lighter color and a darker color. You can have a really light pale blue like glacier, and then a dark blue like sapphire, and you could do it with any 2 colors. I've specifically just gone with this whole vintagey sepia tone feel. All right, so let's take that and remove the excess ink. And basically now, so this is the longer one, this is the 5 1/4, so I'm going to start with that one up there. Then I'm going to use one of the 5s and just pop it to the side there, and then I'm going to take this last one and overlap it over the middle like so. And as you can see, it's just a really pretty opportunity for a fun border, and it coordinates really well with there. And then this is one of our birds from our current April stamp of the month. So I just thought it would be really fun to show you guys, while I've got the blending brush, how I coloured in the birds on the previous 2 cards. So as you can see, I'm just removing the excess toffee ink off my blending brush. And then I've got 3 colours over here. I've got sorbet, shortbread and bluebell. So I'm going to start with shortbread because it's really light colour, and just pick up a little bit of ink, and I am just going to blend some shortbread over this little birdie's belly like so. And then I'm going to grab my sorbet, and because it's slightly darker, I'm just going to pick up ink straight away. I'm not even going to try and clean off my shortbread. And I'm just going to ink a little bit of sorbet now over his back and his tail. And then good old bluebell, that was a colour of a year a few years ago. Just going to grab that one, and I'm just going to go over his head like so. And now I have a beautifully coloured in rainbow-y looking bird, which then once cut out will give you sort of that look like that. And the colouring in process was literally seconds. Okay, so I'll cut that out and pop that on that card, and I will finish that card. So that is the Take Charge Thursday. It's just a really fun technique to create with our little icons. And you most definitely could bring in a scrapbook layout like so. Let me just zoom this out a little bit. Okay, so you could bring in a scrapbook layout like this one, and I've just done a very similar concept. I've popped in a decorative piece of paper here. My photos are ready to go, and I've got 3 1-inch borders. So I'm still just sticking to the 1-inch borders, and I can make those in the exact same way and have a beautiful sepia tone technique going on with my borders there, and that will just finish off that page beautifully. So that's Take Charge Thursday. Really quick, really easy. Great way to use up these small icons. So on this particular one, I would go ahead and sepia tone those 3 borders, and I would probably use the camera being out and about. I even think I would use the remember. In fact, before we go, if you want to hang on and just watch very quickly, I will just grab the remember, because I think that would look brilliant as this top border because it's scrapbooking. Okay, and grab my toffee and my black and just create this border with the words remember. and it's just a fun way to use these small icons. So, and as you can see, it's coming together perfectly. Upside down, side to side, it doesn't matter, just fill in all the gaps. And don't forget, once you add on that toffee to the edges, it takes away that starkness and it just really brings the whole border to life. So don't stress too much if you have a little bit too much of a white gap. It will be filled in with that toffee blending of the ink on the edges. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this week's Take Charge Thursday and that you have some inspiration to go and dive into your stamp sets and find all these little icons you can create. If you're a card maker, a ton of different borders for your cards. If you're a scrapbooker, you can do exactly what I'm doing now and just create a lovely border. There's so many options. They could even be cut as panels to go on gift boxes. It's limitless, really, isn't it? Okay, and almost there. And just filling this gap down here. Okay, and then get rid of that excess ink. I get rid of this so that I don't put my fingers in it more than anything, because I'm notorious for putting my fingers in my excess ink and then transferring it onto my projects. So, alright, and I'm going to grab toffee, and I just remembered I didn't rub off the bluebell, doesn't matter. Okay, and toffee all the way around the edges. I also want to just thank you all for enjoying my Take Charge Thursdays. I'm really grateful to have you viewing what I am teaching. It's definitely very rewarding for me to see people be inspired to dive into what they already own and actually use it. It's a real joy to see that happening. Alright, and there's my border, all done with the words remember, and it looks fabulous. I think it looks fabulous. Let's just bring in, now before I put my layout down, I better make sure there's no ink down here, because on the back of this layout is already a page complete. Okay, bring that in. So just imagine that these have all been done, and then that piece goes in there. And look at that, it's just wow, so cool, so fun. All right, thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you next week for another installment of Take Charge Thursday. Bye.